Let's start with our first news. Petr Yan is officially back in training, and it's already creating serious buzz around the bantamweight division. Yan recently posted a clip of himself hitting the speed bag, and he looked sharp, fast, and completely locked in. Along with the video, he added the caption, "Fists are reaching already." That short message alone was enough to get fans talking, but the footage made it even more clear. Yan looks healthy and ready to go. The training clip shows him working at a high level, moving smoothly and displaying the kind of timing and precision he's known for. There are no visible signs of injury, no hesitation in his movements, just pure focus and intensity. This strongly suggests that Yan is already preparing for a return, and possibly a big fight next. What makes this situation even more interesting is how it directly contradicts recent claims made by Sean O'Malley. O'Malley had stated that his upcoming fight against Arman Zahabi, scheduled for the White House card, would be for the interim bantamweight title. According to him, the UFC made that decision because Yan was dealing with an injury and unable to compete. But now, with Yan actively training and looking in top condition, those claims are being seriously questioned. The timing of this video raises major doubts about the interim title narrative. If Yan is not injured and is already back in full training, then why would an interim belt even be necessary? This has now turned the entire situation into a confusing and unpredictable scenario. Fans are starting to speculate that the UFC might have other plans behind the scenes, or that things could change very quickly depending on Yan's availability. At the same time, Merab remains a key figure in the division, especially with the ongoing talk of a potential rematch. With Yan back in the gym and seemingly preparing for action, the possibility of that rematch just became very real again. Right now, the bantamweight division is filled with uncertainty, and all eyes are on the UFC to see what move comes next. One thing is clear though, Petr Yan is not sitting out, and he looks ready for war. Move on to another news. Tom Aspenol has finally given a fresh update on his recovery following eye surgery, and it's a positive sign for his return. After a quiet period with little activity, Aspenol revealed that he is now back in the GYM and slowly getting back into his routine. While there hasn't been much going on publicly, he made it clear that progress is being made behind the scenes. He explained that he has already resumed light training, focusing on getting his body moving again and rebuilding momentum. The sessions are controlled and careful, but the key takeaway is that he is active again and working toward a full comeback. Aspenol mentioned that it feels good to be back training, even if it's not at full intensity just yet. However, there is still one important step remaining before he can fully return. He is currently waiting for full medical clearance on his eye before he can engage in full contact training. This is a crucial part of the recovery process, and the team is making sure everything is handled properly to avoid any setbacks. Despite that limitation, Aspenol sounded confident and patient, understanding that recovery takes time. He emphasized that the focus right now is on staying consistent in the gym and gradually building back to peak condition. There is no rushing the process, especially when it comes to something as serious as an eye injury. He also hinted that fans will soon get a closer look at his training, as he plans to share more footage of his progress. That means supporters can expect to see more updates as he continues moving forward. For now, the message is clear. Tom Aspenol is back, putting in the work and steadily moving closer to a full return. Move on to another news. Jiri Prahaska has shared his honest thoughts on the current state of the light heavyweight division, and his comments are getting a lot of attention. Speaking about the title picture, Jiri made it clear that he believes Magomed Ankalaev should still have to prove himself against more contenders before earning a shot at the belt. In his view, the division should follow a fair and structured ranking system, rather than rushing fighters straight into championship opportunities. He emphasized that every contender should earn their place properly, and that the integrity of the division depends on it. Jiri's stance reflects his traditional martial arts mindset, where discipline, patience, and merit are key values. When the conversation shifted to Alex Pereira, the man who has defeated him twice, Jiri showed a very calm and respectful attitude. Instead of showing frustration or calling for an immediate rematch, he made it clear that he holds no grudges. He explained that he is not obsessed with revenge, and that he does not carry negative emotions toward Pereira. Jiri said that losses are simply part of life, and each defeat is an opportunity to grow stronger, both mentally and spiritually. He believes that every fall builds character and sharpens the mind, and that the true focus should always be on self-improvement. His mindset is not about chasing one opponent, but about becoming the best version of himself. He also made it clear that if a third fight with Pereira happens in the future, he is open to it, but he is not demanding it. For Jiri, it's about timing and performance, not obsession. He wants to go out there and show his highest level, and let everything else fall into place naturally. These statements come as Jiri prepares for a massive fight against Carlos Solberg for the vacant light heavyweight title at UFC 327. This fight could redefine the entire division, especially with other contenders waiting in line. There is also growing speculation about Khamzat potentially moving up in the future. If that happens, a clash against Jiri or Ulberg would be absolutely explosive. For now, Jiri's focus remains clear: deliver an elite performance, evolve to the next level, and prove once again why he belongs at the very top. Move on to another news. Max Holloway has made it clear that he wants a rematch with Ilia Topuria over just fighting Justin Gaethje. Holloway emphasized that Topuria is the first man to ever knock him out, doing so at UFC 308, and no one else has managed to do that, so he feels that fight has to be set right. The loss has been a driving force for Max, and he has hinted in past interviews that a rematch could even happen at welterweight for added stakes, showing just how serious he is about getting back in the octagon with Topuria. At the same time, Holloway joined Israel Adesanya in calling for better pay for fighters in the UFC, following reports that Zuffa Boxing signed Conor McGregor for a $15 million one-fight deal. Max urged fighters to know their worth and stick together, pointing to a 2021 example with Jon Jones, who demanded $10 million to fight Francis Ngannou, only for the UFC to refuse. Derek Lewis offered to step in for $1 million, undercutting Jones, and Max said that fighters should have backed Jones, because higher pay for top athletes ultimately raises the floor for everyone, including base pay, bonuses, and overall earnings. He sees the new Paramount deal as the perfect moment for fighters to demand a fairer share of revenue, especially when boxing crossovers earn huge purses while UFC athletes face higher risks in tougher camps for less guaranteed money. Holloway stressed that unity among fighters is key to improving conditions for everyone in the sport. Speaking again about his fight priorities, Max said, "If I had my choice, I want to rematch Ilia 100%. He's the first man that did what he did to me, and no one else could, so I've got to get that one back. Me and Gaethje have history too, and I know Gaethje wants to get that one back. That would be a fun fight also, but hey, may the best man win. Hopefully, fighters can start getting together and being smart." Max reflected on the Jones situation, saying, "One time it stuck out to me. Jon Jones asked for $10 million to fight Francis, and the UFC said, hell no. Derek Lewis was like, what? They only do this for 10? You needed to stand in Jones' corner and say, yeah, Jones, you deserve 10. Go get that 10. Because if you fight for 10, then your base pay goes up too." Max's words highlight the importance of solidarity, respect, and fighting for fair compensation while chasing revenge and redemption in the octagon. Move on to another news. Arman is making headline-worthy claims, saying he truly believes he could beat PRIME Khabib Nurmagomedov. He stated confidently that the fight would likely go the distance, probably ending in a decision, but he feels his well-rounded skill set would give him the edge over the undefeated legend. Arman's confidence stems from his versatility, combining striking, wrestling, and grappling in ways that he believes could challenge anyone, even someone as dominant as Khabib. Meanwhile, his teammate Khamzat continues to solidify his reputation as one of the most dangerous fighters in the world. New training footage has surfaced showing Khamzat performing elite grappling techniques, completely controlling and dominating former UFC middleweight champion Luke Rockhold during a session. Every position, every transition, Khamzat displayed precision and intensity, leaving no doubt about his skills ahead of a massive middleweight title clash against his former teammate Sean Strickland at UFC 328. The anticipation for that fight is growing, and the footage only adds fuel to the hype. In other news, Dana White made a surprising announcement about stepping away from UFC fighter contract negotiations. He explained that over time, the process became less enjoyable, and he reached a point where he simply did not want to deal with that side of the business anymore. Dana reflected on the early days, recalling how UFC was a small operation and how personal relationships mattered, from legends like Chuck Liddell and Matt Hughes to stars like McGregor and Ronda Rousey. He remembered being the first phone call whenever something went wrong in a fighter's personal life, providing support beyond the octagon. Despite the growth of the sport and the expansion of the UFC into a global powerhouse, Dana decided to completely remove himself from the negotiating table. He made it clear that the personal satisfaction of managing fighter relationships was no longer enough to keep him invested in that part of the business. His focus has shifted. allowing him to concentrate on other aspects of the promotion while leaving contract discussions to others. This development marks a significant change in the UFC's operations and highlights how even the biggest figures in the sport need to set boundaries to maintain passion and energy. Meanwhile, Arman's bold statements and Khamzat's dominant training performances continue to keep fans excited about the future of the division, setting the stage for some of the most high-stakes matchups in recent memory. Move on to another news. Ilia Topuria is at the center of a growing story after an altercation with Magomed, and UFC President Dana White has now weighed in on the situation. For weeks, rumors circulated about a backstage incident between Topuria and Magomed, but nothing had been confirmed publicly until recently. Magomed, usually calm and composed, finally spoke to Russia's Sport 24, revealing the intensity of what happened. According to Magomed, Topuria approached him backstage at a recent MMA event and tried to intimidate him with his behavior. Magomed described Topuria's actions as fake and clownish, calling out the reigning lightweight champ for what he considered stupid actions and gimmicks. Magomed made it clear that he has had enough and wants to settle things inside the cage, regardless of weight class. He is so committed to making the fight happen that he stated he would even move up to lightweight if necessary. Even if Topuria loses to Justin Gaethje in his next fight, Magomed is still focused on pursuing a showdown. With him, this feud has clearly turned personal, and tensions in the lightweight division are rising. Dana White recently addressed the situation during a YouTube appearance. White, who has been managing the sport for decades, seemed unbothered by the confrontation. He stated that incidents like this don't affect him and that he doesn't give a about the drama. Dana emphasized that his focus has always been on ensuring the UFC operates smoothly and professionally. He highlighted the importance of production, both live and in-house, stressing that making sure events run perfectly is his top priority. White also pointed out that his main concerns are discovering new talent, putting on the best fights possible, and building stars. While fighter beefs and backstage confrontations can create buzz, Dana remains focused on the bigger picture of the sport. His comments reinforced that the UFC will continue to prioritize quality fights, exciting matchups, and the overall growth of its athletes, regardless of off-camera conflicts. With Topuria and Magomed at odds, fans can expect plenty of anticipation leading up to any potential matchup. Meanwhile, Dana White remains steady, keeping his attention on delivering high-level competition and developing the next generation of UFC superstars. The situation adds another layer of intrigue to the lightweight division and sets the stage for potentially explosive encounters in the future, both inside and outside the octagon. Move on to another news. Dana White has once again confirmed that he has nothing to do with UFC fighter contract negotiations, putting any rumors to rest. Over the weekend, he reflected on the journey of the UFC from its early days as a small business to the global powerhouse it is today. He recalled the relationships he built with legends like Chuck Liddell, Matt Hughes, and countless others, from the very beginning up to stars like McGregor, Ronda Rousey, Cowboy, and many more. Dana emphasized that those early connections were personal and meaningful, extending beyond just fights and business. He shared stories that highlight the personal side of the sport, mentioning how fighters like Cowboy would do outrageous things, often spending their paychecks on luxury items like boats, jet skis, and other toys. Despite the chaos, whenever something went wrong in their personal lives, Dana and his team were always the first phone call they would make. That sense of loyalty and personal involvement was a hallmark of the UFC in its formative years. However, as the organization grew, Dana realized that the constant involvement in fighter contracts was no longer enjoyable. He explained that he had completely removed himself from the negotiating process because it stopped being fun. Dana reached a point in his career where he could focus solely on the aspects of the business that excite him, rather than being bogged down by contract discussions. He expressed gratitude for being in a position where he can concentrate on the parts of the UFC he loves, including producing events, building stars, and expanding the promotion. Dana's decision underscores a shift in the organization, separating personal relationships from the business side of contract negotiations and allowing him to prioritize creativity and growth in the sport. Reflecting on the evolution of the UFC, Dana highlighted the unique culture that existed from the beginning, where he and his team were deeply involved in the lives of fighters, supporting them both professionally and personally. Now, with decades of experience and the freedom to focus on what he enjoys, Dana can dedicate his energy to the fun, exciting aspects of the promotion that helped make the UFC a global phenomenon. This move allows the organization to continue thriving while ensuring that negotiations are handled by others, keeping Dana focused on what he does best: growing the sport, building fighters into stars, and delivering top-level MMA for fans worldwide.